Hi, today I'm going to do part two of how to taste wine and what you're really getting out of it, whatever I call this, but this is part two. On today's video, we're going to talk about the smell. We're going to go into a lot more depth on the smell. So, obviously, the place to start here is pour some into the glass. Now, before I talked about, pour it in, I got a little bit in here already. You pour it in, you've looked at it, so now you move on to the smell step. So you want to wrap it up and get some of that evaporating so you can really start to smell it. Stick your nose in deep, suck it all up. So that still holds true, but we're going to do a little different approach. And I'm going to pour some in here. Get the handy bottle out and get me a fresh pour. Now again, I'm not pouring a whole lot, just a little bit sample, bring it back up to about an ounce. Now this time, I'm going to do it differently. What I'm going to do, just pour some more in there. Excuse me. I'm going to smell it before I swirl it. And then I'm going to do another one. It's kind of a bottom to top, or you may prefer top to bottom. And when I say that, I'm talking going up and down the glass. I'm going to smell it and just continuously sniff it in as I go up. That works better for me. Some people prefer to start at the top and go the other way. Same thing, you just get stuff in reverse order. Now, this is what you want to do when you first pour it. And at this point, I'm kind of past that point, but I'll give it a try. Okay, one thing you want to look for is if you start to get a burn in the nose, it kind of burns a bit, that's a sign of higher alcohol. And this is a spot where you can get that. Kind of smell bottom to top or top to bottom. And you'll notice in a very alcoholic wine, that you'll get a little bit of a burn sensation when you do that. Now, why are we doing this? Why not swirl it first? Good question. I'm glad I asked. The reason for that is when you first pour it in, you're going to get some evaporation just because it kind of gurgles around and blends and mixes. So that causes a little bit of evaporation there, and you're getting some different things happening. There's all kinds of different names, esters and phenols and scientific names for what you're actually smelling, the little bits and molecules that come out. If you look at those from a very chemical biased approach, you're going to find that some have an evaporation point here, others have it here, others have it there, or oxidation points. So when you first pour it in, it's coming right out of the bottle, and if you've just opened the bottle, it's really not contaminated by having sat for a while and oxidized, in other words, breathed in. It's in its really pure, out of the bottle state. That's when you're going to get to notice the biggest differences. So this one's been open for a bit, and I've had some in the glass already, so I'm not getting a whole lot of difference that way. But you try with a freshly opened bottle and a first pour out of it, that's where you're going to get the differences. Top to bottom, and actually now I'm getting some difference. It's smelling a little sweeter at the bottom than it does at the top. So not really tying in with the alcohol, but I'm getting different little flavor notes or scent notes that come off of that. Now the next thing, of course, is you've tried that. I smell this, I smell that, I get a little alcohol, I don't get the alcohol, whatever you get from it. No wrong answers, just whatever you get. Try it and experiment with it. So then, of course, the next step is give it a twirl. And go back and re-sniff it. Do the traditional, stick your nose all the way in, then you can give it another twirl and do top to bottom or bottom to top. And this one I very distinctly notice a difference on the top versus the bottom. I tried it the other way this time. Still easier for me, bottom to top. The vanilla is coming out when I do that. So different degrees of agitation, air mixing in there is bringing out different scents. And that's kind of, again, the joy of wine. Now, you're going to notice one thing that contradicts this process is, okay, how can you tip it and look at it and swirl it and see the legs and then go back and smell it pristine? You can't. So you take these a little out of order, you kind of mix and match. You just poured the wine in, that's where you do your first sniff before you twirl, even before you really look at it. Now if you just pour it in, tip it, and look at it gently, then you really haven't agitated it enough. Where you do that first sniff when you first pour it, But then you can look at it and go through the other, and then give it a twirl for legs, and then give it another sniff. Top to bottom, just straight in. Try them all. Try them different ways. You know, try it. Some people, here's one. No, I'm not kidding on this. If you're one, I don't mean to mean that offensively, but some people sniff this way. Close up one side, and then maybe the other side. That just doesn't work for me at all. That's like, it makes me congested. So I just do it, you know, both nostrils full on. So try it though. If you may find that works better for you, because the two sides of your nose don't necessarily sniff the same way in the sense of perception. Once I may receive 10 more towards this aroma, the other one might tend towards different aromas. So it's an easier way to break them out if that works for you. Doesn't work for me, but it's all right. A lot of things don't work for me, so I'm okay with that. So then, after you've sniffed all you can out of it, then you proceed on to tasting. That, of course, is the next video, so we'll get to that. But I do want to emphasize, if you've got a good wine and you take a sniff of it, even if you just, you know, start out and forget and twirl away, you know, and virtually a blender in your hand, sniff it, and then go back and do it again. If it's a good wine, you're going to smell different things. It's a sign of a quality wine or a good wine and a balanced wine is every sniff and every taste is different from the one before. So you initially smell red cherries or black cherries, you try it again, now you're smelling chocolate, you'd smell it again, now you're smelling something else. So if that's the case, you've got a good complex wine. In wine, complexity is a good thing. All right, since I've twirled the heck out of this already and I can't smell anything new in it, I'm going to go ahead and give it a sip. Cheers. Enjoy. So what you're looking at is that very edge. What's the color there relative to the overall color? Now, that will give you some idea of how viscous it is on the tongue, how the mouth feel, in other words. It will give you an idea of the age of the wine. Your younger wines tend to be your redder colors if it's a red wine, and compared to a very much older wine that would be more brown there. You may not see the brown if you just look through the middle part, the thick part, or hold it up to the light that way.